We should never allow the government to decide what is acceptable speech and what is unacceptable speech. We should penalize behaviors, not opinions, and not speech. If you start trying to regulate speech, you start trying to regulate thoughts, you start trying to regulate beliefs rather than behaviors, there's no way that you're not going to abridge the constitutional rights of millions of Americans.
A security guard at level 2 of S4 in Area 51, and he described Area S4 as a facility occupying at least 4 levels. He was aware of 4. He worked on level 2. He had passed through level 1. He never saw level 3 or level 4 because no military people were allowed below those levels. Only people with very specific clearances could go to level 3 and level 4. He described level 2 in considerable detail to us, and he said level 2 consisted of 9 hangar bays, I guess you would call them, because they were the size, they would hold a small airplane. And there were circular disc-shaped craft in 7 of the 9 bays. He described the floor layout, he described the security posts, the guard positions, an area where bodies were stored in large glass cylinders. He described special equipment. He described the monitoring equipment, the security system to go down to levels 3 and 4. He said that they were never allowed down there. Only specially cleared people with very specific clearances, which included a plastic card with magnetic information in it, a handprint, and a right eye retina scan, and put their eye to a little camera. And if they passed, they could go down. If not, their instructions were to arrest them immediately and have somebody from above come down and get them.
This is a very vast complex.
Big place, huh?
Big place. The elevators are right here. There's 4 elevators. 3 and 4 are extremely security. There are no sentries down at 3 or 4. And the levels of 3 and 4, I don't know what goes on down there. I heard something about an EBI or EB down there. I'm not too familiar with what it is, but as you get off the elevators, you get off, and this is level 2. You walk in. The bays are over here. They're all separated by like an automatic doors that open and close each bay. Walk down, there's 5 on each side. There's a hallway right there, and each of these bays have elevators. It'll bring them all the way to the top. It'll bring the whole floor all the way up with a hydraulic system. Now, as you walk down, there's a lot of machinery right here, which I have no recollection of what it does. I believe I've never been in that area. My job was to be a sentry for these 3 gates and up above in the level complex, and sometimes I would be walking down here escorting people. Now, over on this, there's a hallway down here that breaks off, which is there's a big computer system right here. I believe it's a computer system. I'm not going to say for sure. Right here is a level. There's 7 tubes. These tubes are about 2 feet in width. They're about 6 feet in height.
Stand on end.
They stand on end on end. Now, as you walk in and you look at these tubes, I'm just going to go officer one. They're all exactly the same, and the creatures inside are completely identical. There's absolutely no way that I can see of identifying each and every one of them individually. Now there's an aluminum part right here. I don't know if it's covering genitals of them or not, but the rest is filled with the solution. There's a couple tanks right here. I don't know if they're oxygen. I don't know what they hold. There's no identifying marks on them whatsoever. There's absolutely no air in the tanks. It's all solution. And the grays are just in here, right here. They're suspended, so I imagine they're being clamped somehow, some way to hold them in this where their feet is completely off the ground and stuff like that. And under here, there's about a 1 foot pedestal of black iron steel. It's polished, but it looks like a black polished anodized iron. Now the things inside, resemble what everybody sees, and the only thing that's different about them from what I see on all the pictures is the eyes appear to be have deteriorated, or they look like prunes. They're like your fingers get pruned. They're all shriveled up, and you can't see no eye sockets, and there's no visible eyelids or anything like that. They have a grayish, a grayish pigmentation. It's not scaly or anything. It's like a pigmentation. There's no apparent hair on them. There's little holes, not really slits, but a little hole, maybe an ear cartilage. I don't know if you're hearing. Slits are really kind of small for the nose and the mouth. The bodies themselves are very, very thin. They appear not to have any breast or navel or anything like that. Not that I can see.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to sit and study them in full view for a while. I don't think I have heard talk there that I know their systems aren't like ours. But they're very thin and they look very, very frail.
What convinced you that Tennessee told you the truth?
We only have looking him in the eye and talking to him. We've analyzed his voice during the narration. Doesn't show any signs of stress. We've heard rumors of some details inside from others that has never been released or published. So unless they were on the inside circle and knew what was being held back, most people would never know the information that he gave us. Most of the information that he gave us checked with other information we already had, and it has checked since with other information that we have acquired since the time we interviewed him.
Mr. Morton, you came in contact with the sergeant who worked at Area 51.
Yes, I was on an American television program called Mysteries from Beyond the Other Dominion, and at the end of the program they gave my telephone number. This gentleman contacted me through that telephone number and related to me that he was in fact a master sergeant at Area 51 for over 12 years, and that everything that had to be taken in and out of the base or transported from one place to another on the facility had to go across his desk. Of course, the man had a very high-level, top-secret clearance. He gave me his name, he gave me a military ID number, which I was able to check, and his military ID did in fact check out that he had worked at Nellis Air Force Base and had then worked at the Area 51 facility. He told me a number of very interesting things about how the facility was laid out, how many levels the facility had, how it was connected to other facilities, and he asked me a number of questions about things that he didn't really know about, just stuff that he had seen going across his desk, and was curious about how certain things work. So there was an exchange of information between he and I. It is unfortunate that he seems to have disappeared. He seems to have moved with no forwarding address. His telephone number no longer works. I was in contact with him for quite a period of time, and then the man simply vanished.
Did he ever see alien spaceship or alien bodies?
On many occasions, he told me, Chip is what he called himself, that he had in fact transported disc-like saucers, what he considered to be alien spacecraft. And remember, he was not sure if they were alien or not. He never saw the actual paperwork on the craft. He was only responsible for transporting the objects from place to place. However, he did transport a number of very large 30 to 60 foot disc-shaped craft. He was responsible for transporting some bell-shaped objects. He said when they were at rest that they were a very dull gunmetal color. He did, in fact, witness on a number of occasions the tests of these craft, because they would have to cart them out to a certain place and then they take them off, and then the objects would then fly around. And he was asking me how something that looked so dead and so lifeless could then glow up the way that it did, and the metal on the ship would actually look as though it was alive. As far as the alien bodies were concerned, he told me that Area 51 had 5 underground levels to it. This was confirmed by 3 other sources that I had at the facility. He also claimed that there were not only living aliens on the base that he not only saw, because he was responsible for transporting them physically by jeep from one place to another, but also that he saw a number of alien bodies in very large tanks, that the tanks had a silver backing to them, that they had a silver strips across the middle and the bottom of the tank. They were filled with a blue liquid. He said that he personally saw 5 different tanks that had these alien bodies in them, the classic little gray bodies, the 3.5 to 4 feet tall, but that they also had 4 humanoid aliens that were had blondish and reddish hair. Very little was unusual about them that would demarcate them from actual humans, but he was told that these were actual alien bodies, supposedly, and this was his speculation now, but he said that they were supposedly from the Pleiades.
There are many underground alien facilities, and they're all over the place. There's also many underground U.S. facilities. In 1960, it became apparent to the military that if they were going to have any significant covert operations, they were going to have to be underground. The reason was people are extremely observant. They notice everything that's going on. And if there was going to be huge transportation of materials, men, equipment, all kinds of stuff, that it was going to be have to be underground. There was a major meeting with all the major contractors, the big contractors like Morrison Knudsen and those type of people, and the meeting included the highly specialized area of underground operations, as far as drilling down there, how you move that kind of dirt. And they started then, basically in 1960, building all these underground facilities. Right now, they're just all over the United States. It's just incredible how many there are. There's a network of tunnels that connects Edwards Air Force Base with the Tehachapi Base, with Tonopah Test Range, Groom Lake, George Air Force Base, California City, China Lake. It's a tremendous network. I have varied and many people who have told me that they exist, that they have been down there. I have a friend that is a hydraulic engineer on one of the tunnel boring machines. It's 28 feet in diameter. He works at the Nevada test site where the tunnels go down almost 3,000 feet.
In addition to this, I have had a number of ex-military persons, engineers who've worked in the aerospace industry, for the aerospace companies out in the Antelope Valley, such as Lockheed, Northrop, Rockwell, who have related to me their knowledge of underground facilities. Not in all cases have they revealed what they knew about alien life forms or alien technology, but they said that these underground facilities exist without a doubt. Okay, that many aerospace companies have these facilities, that most of our Air Force bases, our naval bases, have these type of facilities underground, and that ultra-secret work goes on in secure underground facilities. Now, our difficulty has been in trying to come up with the evidence that these facilities are connected with the UFO phenomena. So we have had to approach this not only from the viewpoint of listening to testimony, but keeping some of these facilities under surveillance so that we can take cameras up there or any means that we can to record phenomena that seem to be emanating from or associated with these facilities. And that has been done. And people have reported seeing classic UFO phenomena around these facilities.
There are 4 aerospace covert facilities. This is what we call the aerospace connection in the Antelope Valley and also the San Joaquin Valley. Rockwell in the San Joaquin, Lockheed, McDonnell Douglas, and Northrop in the Antelope Valleys. And these operations are extremely suspicious. They have a surface cover activity. They call themselves RCS testing sites. That stands for radar cross-section. And apparently
cabal will stage a fake extraterrestrial type of an event or threat, artificial threat, creating worldwide panic in order to bring about a new world order upon the ashes of American sovereignty. Let me tell you that the technology required in orchestrating such a series of staged events is now being readied at Area 51. Stage number 1 has already been conducted. They are just waiting for the second stage, and I think that's going to happen after October 1st. Area 51 right now is very, very quiet. There's no activity. The reason being is that they're waiting till October 1st before they start the second stage of the project. Because right now people are climbing over those 2 remaining hills that overlook the Groom Lake facility. Now, Area 51 is the nation's leading edge center of super secret military technology, including super aeronautics and avionics, military software programs, worldwide data control system. The very fact of the name of Dreamland indicates that. Dreamland is another name for Area 51 or Groom Lake. Dreamland is actually an acronym for Data Repository and Establishment Management Land. They are keeping all data networks all around the world for future linkage by a special device known as the BEAST. As Anthony mentioned, a Battle Engagement Area Simulator Tracker. Area 51 is where they have perfected the simulation technology and hosts of amazing mind control weaponry. And all of these items is explained in this video. Frequencies. United States Naval Research Laboratory knows all about this. For example, low frequency waves can actually make a person very dull. A continuous bombardment of low frequency waves can make a person's reaction very slow. And also temporary loss of memory is possible. These were all being used. Now, did you know that the cellular frequency is exactly the same frequency as the human brainwave's frequency? Now, the human brainwave's frequency, everybody has a different human brainwave's frequency, just like a fingerprint. Each individual has a different fingerprint, but each individual has different brainwave frequency. But everybody is under between 840 to 870 megahertz. And that so happens to be the same range that the cellular telephones use. So they're getting ready to apply that mind control system by making the 800 megahertz the official cellular frequencies. There are many strange towers being built all across the country, and these are the alleged cellular frequency towers. Some strange equipment are being placed on these, attached to these cellular towers, and I think it's for crowd control. Crowd control will be needed because of federal emergency management situation coming up in next year, possibly the end of this year, who knows. But the Air Force plans radio network for use during nuclear attack, and these are the ground wave emergency network. There's a lot of these microwave networks being built, and these are all promoted by Al Gore. Al Gore is the backbone behind the creation of microwave networks systems. He has stated in Congress many times that the future of the military is the microwave technology. China Lake Naval Weapons Center, that's where the mind control weapons were originally developed. Some of the more amazing mind control weaponry is the new class of weapons. For example, the low frequency emission devices, laser weapons, particle beam weapons, and image projections. In fact, they can now project an image of an Islamic god or prophet in the cloud from the ground. They can actually project that image of an Islamic prophet in the cloud during the daytime. And some of these experiments were done during the Gulf War situations. This was the International Defense Review, non-lethal weapon puzzle for U.S. Army, and many amazing non-lethal weapons. Non-lethal weapon is the euphemism for mind control weapons. I mean, no question about it. During the time of Noriega's arrest, the mind control weaponry, part of it was used. They had a special sound device. Acoustic beams were used.
What's that picture on the top left?
That's the during the invasion of Panama in December. It says here this is where the General Manuel Noriega hideout, sanctuary. See, they bombarded a lot of equipment.
His name is Omran Daknesh, just 5 years old, and his feet barely hung over the edge of a seat in an ambulance. Dazed, he didn't cry as he wiped away blood and the dust from a building that collapsed around him in an airstrike. His silence somehow reminded the world today of its silence in the face of the atrocities in Aleppo. Omran was pulled out alive Wednesday. 5 other children died when the building they were in was hit during the relentless Syrian-Russian offensive on rebel-held areas in Aleppo. The image of Omran's face spread like wildfire on the internet. One tweet called him the real representative of the Syrian people.
Stop killing Syrian innocent people, civilian. Our children need to live in peace.
The doctor who treated Omran said today there were many more severe cases no one is paying attention to.
We need to protect our hospital, our doctors, our medical workers from airstrike.
Omran is recovering. His family now wants to escape. The same choice another boy's family made a year ago, Aylan Kurdi, whose body washed up on a beach. He too was a symbol of Syria's youngest victims. Now there's a new one. Tomorrow there may be another. Richard Engel, NBC News.
They've reported from around the world, challenged the powerful, and they bring all of this to every story that breaks.
We've got breaking news, and it's good news.
And touches your heart.
How do you even say thank you? Thank you is not big enough.
I made this.
Survivors.
Certa.